Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back to do another of our initial analysis of another wild, bonkers, lifespan reducing, blood pressure rising game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get the win over the Baltimore Ravens, 39-38. AFC North champs, primetime football to win it for Ryan Shazier. Man, what a game. So much good, so much bad, so much to talk about. We'll go through it, just offense, defense, special teams, then kind of put a bow on it. Offensively, obviously the Steelers team had a real lull, is kind of the word that's been used by Ben and others, and I think it's very accurate to describe them in the middle of the game. You go up 14-0, the Ravens outscore Pittsburgh from there 31-6, and the Steelers go on their own run. But, I think bottom line is you put up 39 points in the game. You're as efficient and as successful as they were in situational football. It's hard to have a whole lot of complaints, especially when you look at the defensive side of the football and all the woes and flaws that they have. Again, the Killer Bees in full force. Ben Roethlisberger not quite perfect, but I think as close as you can get to perfect without actually being there. He's been brilliant over the last month, spreading the football around. His accuracy on his deep ball downfield has been great. It was maybe one of his best games ever, throwing the football vertically, consistently hooking up with AB deep downfield. Finding guys over the middle, making good decisions. Did a great job with the line of scrimmage, identifying some of the Ravens' pressure packages and some of the disguises that they run. Dean Pease and that Ravens group, they bring as much pressure and as creatively as almost any team in the NFL. They disguise things as well as anybody in the league, and at times it definitely got to Pittsburgh. Again, part of that lull was, the Ravens bringing extra pressure, bringing extra guys because their front four, their edge rushers weren't getting home, and some of that was an issue for Pittsburgh. But overall, they responded well, and guys made the plays when they had to. But yeah, Ben was fantastic. Le'Veon Bell, while the numbers aren't particularly gaudy, especially on a night where there were a bunch of gaudy offensive numbers to throw around, he was excellent. Again, the thing with Bell, obviously he missed a little bit of time with what Tomlin called a quad injury. The thing with Bell you have to start with is just the volume of snaps that he plays. This is a guy coming off a Bengals game that was tough, that was physical. You're doing it on a short week. You're coming against a Ravens team that's, again, tough, physical, hard-hitting. And Bell just does not miss time, whenever he's out there and healthy and not getting attended to by medical personnel. I think for the year coming into the Ravens game, he was sitting at about 92% of snaps of the season. I believe only one other back, I think Todd Gurley, was over 75%. That number might come down a little bit just based off missing a little extra time tonight's game against Baltimore, but still, he's sitting around 91% for the entire season, which is a number no one else is even close to. So that's where you start with Bell. It's just his availability in the down-to-down consistency, his conditioning that he has. It is, to me, honestly, the most remarkable part of his entire game. But, of course, on the field and everything that he's doing with the ball in his hands, the power, the vision that he shows, a touchdown run that he had where he kind of looked down 3 gaps and then went over and I think crushed Humphrey at the end. It's kind of a vintage Le'Veon Bell play, and then what he offers as a comfort for Ben Roethlisberger out of the backfield. Since Heath Miller's retired, you haven't had that tight end. Now, Jesse James was great tonight. We'll get into that in a second. But you haven't had that real source of comfort and check down at that position since Miller's been gone. Le'Veon Bell gives you that, and I think, we'll look at it again because we'll get a better feel in the All-22, but one of the sacks that Ben took tonight, I think it was in the first half, was with James Conner in the game when Bell was getting looked at, and, Conner leaked out of the backfield. He was open on a check down. Ben didn't find him, ends up getting sacked, and I would bet you anything if that's 26 out there, Ben's going to find him because Ben has that trust and chemistry that, if nothing's available deep, I know the defense is expanding vertically to cover things deep. That's going to open up Bell underneath. Let me just check it down, flip it down to Le'Veon Bell, let him do his thing. And I think that's an underrated and subtle reason why Ben Roethlisberger's sack numbers have come down over the last 2 to 3 years. The line being upgraded, of course, is part of it. Tweaking, Ben's game, the evolution of Ben's game. Some of Haley is all going to be involved in that. But just knowing that Bell is so dangerous out of the backfield, knowing you have that threat, I think is a big source of comfort and chemistry for Ben Roethlisberger. So, Bell, excellent tonight, 3 total touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. He's the second back in Steelers history to have 2 such games like that. Franco Harris, of course, is the other with 2 rushing and 1 receiving touchdown in a game. And again, the numbers aren't going to look great, but you see the impact beyond the box score and the comfort that he brings to this team. And can't say enough good things about Le'Veon Bell. And Antonio Brown, I don't even know what to say else about the guy. I mean, I don't have to say anything. If you're listening, odds are you're a Steelers fan. You know this guy week in, week out. 11 catches for 213. Again, the body control he has deep downfield, getting his feet in. We're doing an article. It's either up or about to go up for Steelers Depot for Monday morning, and we're going to look at the 3 vertical catches that he had. But for him, I think one of the most effective but not talked about traits of his game is how late he is with his hands. If you're a receiver and you flash your hands too early, that's going to tell the cornerback, because eyes usually get on AB. Eyes usually are on the ball because you just have to play AB to have a chance. So if you're a receiver and you flash your hands early, corners know that the ball's coming and they're going to start playing the pocket and swipe down. But if you're late with your hands, if you're late with your eyes, late reacting to the ball being there, the corner has no chance to react. And I think that's such a great trait that Antonio Brown has, is that everything he does is late at the last possible second, so the corner does not have the ability to play the pocket and try to, contest the catch. And I think you see that on all 3 of AB's long receptions, and also his ability to get space at the top of his route. And occasionally he's kind of pushing guys off. You're going to do whatever you can to get away with it. That's how the league works. They often don't call it. But his ability to get space and then late with his hands. So the article's either up or it's about to go up in a half hour or so on, AB winning vertically, and Ben, again, terrific, dropping the ball in the bucket. That's some training camp stuff that you work on way back at Latrobe, and they were money. So, can't say enough good things about Antonio Brown. MVP candidate. He might actually get some votes just because how absurd his season has been and how much better it is than any other receiver in the NFL. He's almost 300 yards above the next closest receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. So, we'll see if he gets his name thrown into the conversation. Eli Rogers, Jesse James, Vance McDonald did a great job tonight. One of the big concerns when you don't have Juju Smith-Schuster is, do you have guys that can work the middle of the field? Because, Juju's going to work on the slot so much, work over the middle. He's big, tough, physical, good football IQ. He can get himself open. Obviously, when you don't have that, Bryant and AB are going to be bracketed and double-teamed on the outside quite a bit. So Jesse James, game of his life. Vance McDonald, best game as a Steeler. And Eli Rogers had some really crucial third down catches. 2 of his 3 receptions moved the sticks on third down. Quick side note, Steelers on third down in general, excellent. 12 of 18 on third down. The 12 third downs are the most they've had since 2010. It's one of the best performances on third down they've had, honestly, in their NFL history, in their franchise history, if you look at it statistically. So they were excellent there, and you got to give credit to Jesse James, who made a really tough 3rd and 13 catch in the middle of the field on that game, go-ahead drive. Made some other tough plays throughout the game, adjusting to the football, getting some yak. He was great. It sucks that Vance McDonald went out with a shoulder injury, but you see his effectiveness and how much of a dynamic player he can be when he's healthy and out there. And again, Eli Rogers, I thought, had a good bounce back performance. Definitely a guy that had to step up, and he was excellent. When his name was called upon. Offensive line, got to get to the offensive line. They were great. Chris Hubbard did a fantastic job against Terrell Suggs. I thought the line in general did an excellent job of keeping Ben upright, giving him lots of time, especially early. In their pass protection, forced the Ravens to start bringing some pressure as the only way to try to get to Ben Roethlisberger. So big ups to the whole line across the board, but I thought Chris Hubbard it specifically was really strong today in a tough matchup. Todd Haley talked about it. You're going to get your best matchup and your toughest matchup of the year against Terrell Suggs, who 10.5 sacks coming into the year. And just the other guys the Ravens have. The Ravens have such a deep core of pass rushers that they rotate in. They drafted so many guys this year. Tyus Bowser, Tim Williams. They drafted Judon, who did get hurt, but they drafted him last year in the mid-round. So they have so many guys with fresh legs that come in. That's tough for an offensive lineman. I thought Hubbard and company did an excellent job. Some of the negatives with the offense. Artavis Bryant, I apologize if you're listening to this, and if you were yelling at me about this on the winners and losers list. Martavis Bryant definitely should have been on the losers list. I was trying to write it up really quickly, get the other stuff. I usually don't even look at the comments in that article too closely because there are just so many, and they're usually not positive in my favor. But if you're saying that, you're right. Bryant struggled. Just routes where it seemed like he's not going full speed, miscommunication. Did have a couple nice catches, but the kick return game was awful. Just being able to field the ball cleanly, ball security, as a dynamic as Bryant can be, and he can provide a big play in the return game. There's a reason why I say I don't really care who's back there as long as they practice good ball security, and you see why that's important. Sunday night, because regardless of how explosive and dynamic you might be, if you can't field the ball clean, you can't judge the football, you can't communicate and do those detail things to get the play started, it doesn't matter what you run and how explosive you are. So that's why you've seen the Jujus and the Watsons in the past. You've seen the Gary Russells and Davenports and those kind of guys because they practice good ball security. A lot of them are running backs. A lot of them, that's ingrained, and they're going to make good decisions. Bryant, clearly an issue. He's got to be better. It's just weird with Bryant. I don't even know how to explain what's going on with him, but that's been a bit of a disappointment. More than that, really, a definite disappointment. I know this video's going super long. My goodness, I'm so sorry. Defensively, it just goes back to tackling. What the Ravens do well, they don't do a lot of things well, but what they do well is effective against the Steelers. The outside zone, some of those cover 3 zone beaters, the play action. Sean Davis was just, he had to pick early. It was a really good play. I'm going to try to break that down later in the week, but from there, it was just awful with the missed tackles, the penalties, the coverage, blown coverage that he gave up. That first touchdown was on him. Mike Mitchell struggled a little bit as well in the alley. Cam Sutton, I thought, had a decent game. Clearly was kind of the go-to guy late, so that's a good ringing endorsement for the rookie. Burns, I didn't get a great feel for how Burns was tonight, but just across the board, guys got to get off blocks, guys have to fill the alley, run fits have to be better. Of course, you saw not having Shazier out there, you lose that athleticism to get to the perimeter on some of those outside zone plays, and guys getting reached and getting caught up in the wash and just being a step late. And I remember one play specifically where Sean Spence was probably a step late, and if Shazier's out there, that's guaranteed to at least get there and slow that up. So again, very frustrating. The missed tackles, there had to have probably been 20 of them. Josh Carney will do the article later in the week. We'll get the actual numbers on that, but that's what it comes down to. You clean up the tackling, it's a whole different ball game. So you don't have to delve into the issues too deeply, but you recognize it's a big kind of numero uno issue right now. So I don't have to say a whole lot about that group. I think it's pretty clear that they got to get better. I think the Ravens were 4-4 in the red zone tonight, so the red zone defense, which had gotten a lot better, took a big step back. I forget some of the other situational stats, but got to get more pressure. Bud Dupree was really, really non-existent. One tackle the entire game. That was it. He came late in the game on a 14-yard completion to Mike Wallace. Dupree's had his moments, but he's got to be more consistent. I don't call him the Jarvis Jones stuff yet. I'm not going to start saying that kind of those kind of words yet, but he's got to be a lot better. He's got to at least be on the TJ Watt level where he's making some plays, getting some pressure. I didn't feel like he was doing that tonight. I think it's worth giving Anthony Chickalo some more time over there on the outside, because I think Chickalo's played well, and I think you need to at least rotate guys and see what else someone has. But we'll take a look at the old 22 and see what comes up from there. Last couple notes to try to shorten this video a little bit. Chris Boswell, I think definitely not an honorary killer bee, just a straight-up killer bee. A 50-yard out again, his second of the year. The go-ahead, was it from 46 out? Money. He's just a cool, calm, collected guy, and his kickoffs are excellent. Boswell, what more can you say about him? He's been fantastic. You have total trust in the guy. So, he's definitely a killer bee. And then I thought Jordan Berry, he's not killer bee status, but I think Berry quietly has good games. Doesn't get talked about too much because Boswell's kicking so well, and Steelers didn't punt until well into the game. But I thought he averaged 47 yards with a long of 48, so it's not like he had one booming punt and 3 JV ones. And directional kicking was excellent too. They were asking him to pin it to the left side a ton. Campanero only had one return opportunity, and that went for 0 yards. I think Brian Allen had a good tackle on the play, or DHB, one of the two. So yeah, his directional, his hang time's been excellent. He's getting distance. I think you got to give a little credit to Jordan Berry, who yes has had more struggles this year than say Boswell, but when he's had good games, he's had really strong games, and that was an important part of the game. Sunday night was limiting return yardage, not having any return yardage, and not giving the Ravens a super short field, because when the Ravens they get a short field with Justin Tucker, their elite kicker, best in the world, he's going to make it from 55 yards out. So that was the other issue again with the kick returns, and Steelers getting backed up, inside their own 20. That's a tough hole to dig out of. Another issue, I think you saw some of the lulls mid-game for the Steelers was being put in bad field position. I think they started 1 on the 17, started 1 on the 11. Just not good places to start for any offense. Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. It's 3:15 in the morning as I'm recording this right now. That's why I didn't do face game, because it is 3:15 in the morning, and I still got an article to write and some other stuff to do. So I'm going to try to go to bed before 5 a.m. But yeah, let me know your comments below about this game. So much to talk about. We have so much great content coming throughout the week. Again, Steelers AFC North champs. Should I even say that part? They are AFC North champs to beat Baltimore in primetime football. That's fantastic. To get the win for Ryan Shazier. What a great moment. I'm sure you guys have seen it, and if you have not, please check out the video of Shazier FaceTiming with the team. That's fantastic. No better image than Shazier having that big smile on his face and doing it for him and everyone in the 50 jerseys out there. Rosie Nix, I almost forgot Rosie Nix. He had a touchdown catch and a great performance on special teams, so shout out to Rosie Nix. And then Joe Hayden, to get his first AFC North crown. This is a guy that was stuck in Cleveland, and one time his rookie year finished third, and for every other season in Cleveland he finished last, and now he's an AFC North champion. That's a heck of a guy, and he's done a great job for Pittsburgh, and hopefully he's coming back against New England. We'll find out more from Tomlin tomorrow on Tuesday, and we'll go from there. But definitely seeing 21 back in the lineup would be an excellent and welcome sight. So anyway, I think I've kind of emptied the notebook on this game, Steelers Ravens. Let me know your comments below, whether you're watching on YouTube, Steelers Depot, or follow me on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.